What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first ever live Third and Longhorn postgame show. We've got some amazing Longhorn legends in the house and myself. I'm Nick Shuley. I'm joined by Lifetime Longhorns Jeremy Hills to my left, Derrick Johnson over here, and Mr. Alex Okafor over here. And we're gonna talk a little ball today, guys.
Sure.
We've been chatting a little, but I want everybody's instant reactions right away. So let's kick it to you, Hills. I want to hear your thoughts.
Easy. Listen, when you score 7 touchdowns and they punt 7 times, chances are the game wasn't very close.
Right.
And that's what we saw today. 500 plus yards of total offense, 200 yards on the ground, just shy of 5 yards per carry rushing. Only turned the ball over one time, won the turnover battle. We grabbed 2 of those. We checked every single box, and we kept our punter clean. He was out there on the field one time. The punter was on the field one time.
Yeah.
So when I look at a score like 52-0, I'm like, they lucky that the game was over after 60 minutes. Because if we kept playing, that thing just gets uglier and uglier and uglier. So one of the more complete wins that I've seen out of Texas. We have a history of starting a little slow. Which I will say in the beginning I was a little nervous.
I was a little nervous after the first round too.
We got a history of starting slow, but man, we came out. We came out and did our thing. So I'm excited. I love the product that I've seen on the field today.
And Hills, you were actually at the game. So what were your thoughts on the atmosphere? Like, how were things, and especially compared to last year? What did it look like? Did it feel
was crazy.
SEC ready?
Yeah, atmosphere was crazy. You mean is the SEC ready? Is what you mean?
The
atmosphere was crazy. The energy was in the building, and it was hot, just how I wanted it to be. Just how I wanted it to be. I said, listen, we're gonna find out. Colorado, you don't get it like this, right? Like in Texas, like we say, this heat is a man maker. And I could tell you by the middle of the second quarter, you start seeing them hands going to hips a little bit.
Cramps.
You start seeing them hands going to hips a little bit. And I'm like, oh yeah, here we go.
And the funny thing about that was I felt like all week the temperatures were kind of down a little bit. I'm like, oh no.
The weather
is supposed to be our friend.
Too,
right? Yeah. Like week 1, the heat's supposed to be our friend. All week it was like low 90s. I'm like, man, we about to let Colorado State off the hook. But that weather showed up today. Yes, sir.
Somebody made that call upstairs. Somebody made that call upstairs.
Yes, sir.
And we got exactly what we wanted out of that. Defense looked good too. Defense looked real good.
Yeah, well, you know what? Texas is who we thought they were. That's
I like that.
And sometimes when you play against lesser opponents, sometimes that gets put to the back burners. You don't do as well, or you don't have to have a perfect game. But this game, it wasn't perfect, but we really, really dominated. And offensively, defensively, like we started fast. I mean, hats off to Sark, man. Sark had this team ready to go. It's a big win just because you got Michigan next week, right? Everybody knows that, right? And it tells what kind of coach you are if you can have your team ready to go, knowing that they have a big game next week, having the young guys, everybody. I mean, offensive, defensively, special teams, everything, man. It was on point. I was
a little less concerned about that though, like us being ready to go. If this had been like week 5 with Michigan coming up week 6, I would have been with you on that. But like,
it's the first game
7 months, man. You're ready to come out there and show what you got. But I will say, early in the game, I was a little concerned about our interior linemen on defense. Just because I know what's coming in next week with Donovan Edwards. And Michigan's gonna line that ball up. They'll run goal line in the middle of the field. They're gonna try to run this ball down your throat, right? And we were giving up a little bit more than what I anticipated us giving up in the beginning with the in between the tackle run game.
Good thing is that it's first game of the year. You get the jitters out. You say, hey, we can't do this. We can do this. And man, they should have the ultimate confidence going up to Michigan next week. But
I think we've seen in the past few years, even the years that we knew this team was going to be good, we didn't come out and play like it. And today we took care of business. It felt like the game was in control, like after that first, not after the first, after the second drive. So what were your quick takeaways, though?
Yeah, man, this is as good of a start as anyone could ask for. Like, if anybody leaves this game with any like reservations or complaints, like just pack it up for the season, because you won't be satisfied this year. Like, this was as good of a win as I can think of from Texas, mainly from the points that y'all said. First game of the season. Big opponent next week. Moving to the SEC, a lot of emotions. I remember Sark had a quote that said, we want to take those emotions, but we don't want to get emotional. I felt like, and I love that quote, and I saw it. Like, you saw the intensity, and I loved what I saw today. I'm kind of with Jay Hills, and we can talk about that later in the show. If I had to not complain, but if I had any reservations, I'm a little, nervous about the interior of the D-line, just because they didn't play poorly. It was a little more leakier than I thought it should have been.
Yeah.
Should have been a little bit cleaner. I felt like we should have been a little bit more stout. And I can honestly say that on the other side of the ball as well. I felt like the running game could have been a little bit more physical. Just a tad bit. Outside of that, complete win. Don't want to take nothing away from it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, 52-0, that looks solid, right? Like, people look up at that scoreboard and say, okay, Texas is for real. And when you look down at the stats, 558 total yards to 192. I will say I agree with you on the middle part of the defense, but I also think I was impressed by the defensive speed. The guys were hitting, they were moving, and they came out with a chip on their shoulder, and you could tell that some of those guys were still burning from last year. So
that's what I was impressed with the most about the defense side. Just the amount of big hits, man. When you work really hard, especially Bender and Mo Blackwell, those guys coming in there smacking people in the face, that was impressive. That was impressive. For a defensive guy, I'm jumping up at the TV like that. That's what you want to see.
It was an attacking style of football at all three levels.
Yeah.
I mean, all three levels. Like, so I was like, we have that chip on our shoulder.
Yeah,
we're playing with that attitude. You know what I mean? That one that we're gonna need going into it. What I did love to see was the defensive backs. I love to see them take advantage. Not only take advantage of opportunities, but it looked like they were playing with a different level of confidence.
They look good today.
They looked sure about what it is that they were doing.
I gotta brag on, not to jump in, I gotta brag on 9. I know y'all probably gonna do it before I do it, but 9 and 5, they really played really well. And that was the question, right? With everybody, what happened last year with us being not so good in the passing game of the defense or whatnot. But today they came out very motivated, jumped some balls, had an interception. Jaydon went to go get a ball back there. He's playing different positions. He's playing nickel. He's playing corner, safety. They had him moving around. But I tell you what, Gavin and Manny did well on the outside. That should give them more confidence, because those are young guys on the outside, to give them more confidence just going throughout the season. So we got we got so much talent. I'm not going to jump to the offense yet, but it's a lot, man.
It's ultimately, if you got to wrap it up, what I love, it was aggression, it was assignment, sound, and focus, and it was speed.
Yeah.
It was so much speed all around the field, right?
Yeah.
And it was so much speed to where, like, I went from like cheering, I'm standing down there watching the game, and I went from cheering to thinking, are we that fast or are they just that slow? You know what I mean? Right. And I got to see it again next week. I got to see it again next week. And then to be truthfully honest, like, after I see it, I'm going to be like, well, the Big Ten not really that fast anyway. But no, I want to, we have so much speed at all positions, especially the wideouts. Like we talked about in the pregame show. Said, hey, I don't know if it'll be just one guy that takes over the season. I think that we have a lot of guys that can have their moments.
Pick your poison.
And it was literally pick your poison. Like, once you think Isaiah Bond is covered, here comes Golden. And then when you think Golden is covered, it's like, Bolden is making plays. Wingo. I'm like, this thing. And then, don't get me wrong, tight end grabs one, hurdles a guy, switches the hand, steps out of another one. I'm saying, hey, man, these guys look like a track meet.
Yeah, and the impressive part to me offensively was, like, you're talking about those receivers. Every time one of those dudes catches the ball, I'm like, oh, that's our best receiver.
Yeah.
When Wingo caught it, I'm like, oh, he's the best receiver on the team. Then Bond started getting active in that second quarter. I'm like, okay, Bond got this. Then Golden got a little wiggle in there. I'm like, hey, he might be our top dog. So that just shows the depth of that room. I'll save that for you, Jay. I kind of wanted to piggyback off what DJ said on the defense. What I loved about the defense today is the people that we had to depend on in terms of taking that next step, being leaders for us. It appeared like they took that next step over the offseason. Jaydon looked great out there today. We knew we'd have to depend on him. He looked amazing out there today. Bender, you was talking about number 33. He looked like he took that step as well. And then you talk about guys like Barron Sorrell. I know we didn't get any sacks, but Barron was coming all day long. So
yeah, and when you talk about the sacks, we only got one today, one or two, which is not enough for us because we are loaded on the edge part. But when you look at it, you say they only had 74 yards. I mean, you know what I mean? They didn't have a lot of pass. You know, they wasn't back there, holding the ball and nothing like that. So the ball was coming out. So there's you kind of got to watch the game. After looking at the stats, you kind of got to watch the game and add it up. That's not a negative for them. I'm sure they want to get more sacks, but they'll come in bunches. They'll come in bunches.
Oak touched on that pregame. You kind of, I think you prepared us for that when you said like this is they want to get that ball out so fast that we're probably not going to get a bunch of sacks, but that doesn't mean that you can't impact the passing game.
Exactly.
And I think we did exactly that. We took away the easy passing lanes.
Yeah.
Hands were up a lot of the time. He was having to make some difficult throws, and then he overthrew a couple of them, and those led to some interceptions, both him and his backup, right? So I'm like, I look at that defensive line, and I'm saying, of course, I want to see the sacks too. We all do. It's one of the best plays in football, right? Even if you don't know much about the game, it gets you excited. But there were other ways that you can impact the passing game at that defensive line spot, and I say they did that.
Well, and I thought of you when Vernon Broughton got his hands up on that, because we talked about that. They're a quick pass offense, right? So we knew that the sacks were probably not going to be as high today, and there was a lot of that where he didn't hold the ball as long, where Braden didn't hold the ball, but I do think that made a difference. The guys were getting their hands up, et cetera.
Yeah, and real quick, and I'll give it back to you. Just speaking on Broughton, he won about as quick as you could ever win as a D lineman, and still the ball was out.
I know, right?
So, this wasn't a sack game, and like Jay said, if you can't be a pass rusher, be a pass defender, and that's what we did.
Yeah. And for those of you joining at home, we appreciate y'all. You guys keep sending your questions in. We see them. We're going to get to those at the end. So we're going to break it down for a little bit of the offense. We're going to get to the defense. I'm going to take a special segment about Bert Auburn like I always do in the special teams. And then we'll take some audience Q&A. So let's get to the offense first, all right? And I'm going to give this one to Oak first. What did you think of Quinn's performance today?
I thought Quinn had a great day.
Wait, what was that?
the camera didn't move fast enough to catch that.
I don't appreciate the.
He got to go
Like my guy wasn't out there throwing no look touchdowns. Like what? Like he out there doing the Dougie. Like my guy is playing with full control, man.
I had to get my thoughts together.
Okay, all right. I apologize.
He was
I got offended. I really got offended by it.
I just had to get my thoughts together.
Okay, all right. Let me hear these thoughts that got together. Go ahead.
Well, look, I thought Quinn had an outstanding day. I thought he looked great. I thought he did what we needed him to do. And I thought he looked how fans expected him to look this game. Like, we wanted him to take that next step. We wanted him to have more poise on the field, more control over this team. And I felt like he did all of that. So there are no complaints with Quinn. He had a great game. You got to talk about the pick. You have to. You can't talk about Quinn without that pick. And
because you got high expectations.
Right, you have high expectations for Texas to reach the goals that they want to reach this season. Quinn has to be in the Heisman conversation, so that's why you have to talk about it. I would like to say it was out of the norm. Picks like that, Quinn, he has weird moments sometimes, and you just can't put your finger on it. Yeah. That's no slight at the play or anything like that. He just has unexplained moments, and I felt like that pick was one of those. Other than that, he had an outstanding day, and I'm ready for him to continue this.
And he's done that before, right? And I will give him credit. I think he was throwing that pass because he knew who we were playing. I'm hoping that won't be the case again. I mean, I hope it will be the case against Michigan where he understands who we're playing. Because that one, if you look down the field, Jaydon was probably covered up on that one. But I'm hoping that's a throw he won't make in the Michigan game. So I think that was hey, we're going to get our points and go. And,
I'll say this.
I think he settled in, though, very well.
Turnovers are never good, right? Protect the ball. Yeah. Protect the ball. If you got 3 points in your back pocket, know that going into it. That said, the play that he was attempting to make, that's how loose our quarterback was playing. Yeah. That's how confident the quarterback is playing. There's no timidness in his game right now. And I don't want to see any timidness in his game, right? How many times have we watched the game and we say, no, yes, like
all the time.
He's moving to that space. He's playing quarterback at that space. And if we want to be where we say we want to be, it's going to require him playing in that space. So I won't say take the good with the bad. I will say, okay, let's learn from that. And I'll leave it at that. Let's learn from that. Because my guy was dugging after touchdown. My guy was throwing no-look touchdowns today.
He looked great today.
He threw his first one to Matthew Golden. Oh my gosh, what a beautifully placed football. Like he threw where only his guy can catch it. And it was, DB didn't even know where the ball is.
There were a couple of those.
DB didn't even know where the ball was. By the time the DB turned around and looked back, the cannon was going off. He ducked. He didn't know what was going on. I'm saying that's the level of play your quarterback was at.
Yeah, Quinn's has an uncanny ability to throw anywhere and sometimes his shoulders is straight and he'll throw it here, he'll throw it here, and most of the time you got to point that shoulder here for a regular quarterback, but he can throw it in any angle, which is, it's for defensive guys. It's like, golly, it's very tough. It kind of messes with your angles, but just like you're saying, I think he was impressive today. Had a couple mishaps, bad decisions, I would say. Sark is the guru, so Sark's going to get down with him and make sure that doesn't happen next week.
And last thing I wanted to say is my biggest thing, like that pick was nothing for me. Like we moved past that. He had an outstanding game. I'm more concerned about the hits that he's taken. Okay. And he took a nasty hit in that first quarter. It wasn't his fault. Defender got there quick. But that can't happen. Quinn has gone down twice the past 2 years. We got to have a healthy Quinn this season.
I agree with that.
I agree.
I can agree fully with that.
Well, I'm going to kick it to you then, Hills. So we're going to – I know it's the part of the game you want to cover. So let's talk about the running backs.
You want
Tell
to
me
talk
what
about,
you saw.
You want to talk – what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about 43 carries? You want to talk about 203 yards? You want to talk about 4.7 yards a carry? What part you want to talk about?
You didn't have those teed up.
No, I didn't. You want to talk about getting in the end zone 3 different times by different players? What do we want to talk about? Because what I heard leading up, not specifically from you guys, but the talk around town was, oh no, we lost 2 backs. What are we going to do? Well, this is what we're going to do. Yeah. So, we have guys that can play football. We have guys that can play football at that spot. Yeah. We got guys that are going to have to step up and then, shoulder the load because C.J. Baxter is down and he's a stud running back, right? But I think Tashard Choice is who I would put in. I would put that burden on him. Yeah. Because he's proven it year in and year out since he's been here. And he's proven it again. Those boys look good. They are fast. They catch the ball well out of the backfield. They pure athletes in space. You got to really cover them. You got to really cover them. Majority of the time, what you get is like a smaller body back that catches the ball well, an all-purpose back, so to say. Yeah. But when that all-purpose back can also run the inside zone, when he can also run goal line, what personnel do you call on defense? Yeah. Do we bring in an extra DB and now we lighten the box, or do we put another back and now he got to cover in space? You're wrong no matter what you do.
So that I'm glad you said that. That to have that flexibility and versatility from the running back room, it actually makes it harder for defensive guys, because whenever I'm out there and I see a certain number or a certain player, I'm like, oh, it's just going to be an outside run, or it's just going to be some kind of pass or screen. But if you got somebody back there that can do that and run inside zone and all that stuff, now I'm playing everything. Now I got to be perfect on my technique and my eyes and all. It just put pressure on the defense. And I mean, Blue's good, man.
I'm telling you.
Blue's good.
Good is an understatement.
We keep that guy healthy. I'm telling you right now.
That's the deal. How do we do that?
I mean, it's football at the end of the day, right? So some of that's going to be on him too, learning like when the play is over, when to go down, when all of these different things, learning how to shoulder that load as RB1.
Do you give him 10, 15, 20, how many carries?
But I like what they did today to answer your question. With Trey Wisner.
I think because Trey Wisner has proven that he can be not only a great sub, he can
run.
He looked good today.
He can leave him in.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that we have a spoil of riches, man. Like at the wide out spot, at the running back spot, you have pure athletes. So an offensive line that is going to do nothing but get better, and they already are really good. QB1, who I think he's ready this year. Yeah. And now you have just a plethora of talent. And when you look at that wide out spot again, it literally looks like copy paste. Whoever you want to cover, that other guy just won his one-on-one. If you dare run zone, please don't miss, because those guys run 4-3. Yeah. So it's like there's nothing you can do. Oh, and I forget to tell you, the running back might be the fastest on the team. Yeah. It's like there's, like I said earlier, speed. Yeah. It was so much speed on the field, right? Yeah. And it's exciting because we always have credited Sark with being this like guru, which I think he is, but now he gets a chance to have fun with it. Man. He gets a chance to like call. I'm looking at some of these calls and I'm like, Jesus, man, how do you cover that?
Man, this just popped in my head. I keep cutting you off now.
That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah,
good. Right? Good. I'm excited to hear what you got to say.
Check this out. When I'm watching the game and I'm thinking, man, all of these play action, cross misdirection stuff, and I'm like, and sometimes they hand the ball off. I'm like, what?
It
how
all
do
looked
you?
the same.
Yeah.
It all looked the same.
And not to cut DJ off, I said the same thing. So when I was watching the game on the TV today, everything that you learned previously about football, like all of your reads, your pre-snap recognitions, you play Texas, throw that out the window. If you try to pre-recognize anything that Texas is doing, you're going to get stuck out of position.
There's eye candy everywhere.
Yeah, Sark is that good when it comes to formations and play calling, and we just caught a glimpse of that today.
We caught a glimpse of it, and what I really loved, especially for week 1, right? Because you just kind of expect some rust. You expect trying to work out some things. Like offense is typically 3 things done really well that work in one, and it's like timing, spacing, and anticipation, right? And if you can get those 3 things done, then you usually have a really good offense. Timing, spacing, and anticipation. You need like 3 layers to whatever pass game. You need timing in the run game, right? You got to have these different things. They were on display today. And that just lets me know that these guys have matured in that sense and are like in it. And they're really in. That's how else do you explain? No matter if it's the flat, the cross, or the deep over, guys are running open.
Oh, they open.
Guys are running open, right? And the ball is on time and it's on point. And it's being caught, and now we got athletes in space that are fast.
Well,
right?
and best part about it, Sark, he doesn't show his hand. Like he's got a whole new set coming ready for that second game, and that's what excites me. I will say the part of the backfield that I was a little worried about losing CJ was that guy that's physical, that could go in between the tackles. So I was not worried about the physicality of the running backs, but when you watched Jaydon Blue run today, he ran nasty. He put his head down. He was not everyone thinks of him as such a quick, like get outside guy, but he can run between and so can Trey. But the part that I was so excited about, because I hadn't really seen much of him, none of us have, is Jarrett Gibson.
Oh,
and Gibson,
man.
I think he ended up with 10 carries for 67 yards.
Yeah.
That kid can run. He looked a little like CJ at points. Like there's something
do
there.
we know his measurables?
I can pull him up.
Let's figure that out. Because,
Number 9?
Yo.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I was like, where did this grown adult man come from? Who is this? When did Brandon Jacobs start playing for the Texas Longhorns?
18 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, like this was I'm talking about guys are hitting him.
5'10",
on what
205.
should be second and 4, it was 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5. It's 2nd and 2.
Yeah.
He's
I'm
5'10", 5'10", 205.
That's
Yeah,
it?
yeah, dude, he's got to have put up 10 or 15 since that way in.
And he has on a small jersey. That's the only way that makes sense. Like, that's a big old boy, man.
I will say this, and it kind of goes back to DJ's point. I don't want to harp on it too much because nobody did go down today as far as I know. But for us playing Colorado State, the backfield looked a little tired at the end of that game. And it's going to be a long season. Like DJ's talking about, how do we space out these handoffs?
Yeah.
How do we get these guys out of these games clean? Like, we need these guys clean and ready to go for next week. And we put some miles on them today, and this is just Colorado State.
We did. The good thing that what we have going for us is Sark. Sark is a guy that's going to draw up something and maybe put an extra couple passes in there. He has no problem with doing that and drawing up some stuff. So that's going to help. Quick passes actually substitute for a couple runs at times. You can do that. Yeah, and we didn't even get a chance to see Silas like really get off because not to tell everything. I'm at practice that time, but Silas is a guy too. Like, for real. Yeah.
Silas did his thing though with his opportunities. Seeing him in that punt return game,
he's gonna make a difference there.
That can be like in a tight game. That can.
We'll jump to special teams later because I got some more comments on.
Okay, Bert.
No, we'll start with Bert. We can go into some other guys too. We can cover them, but I think let's finish up on the offense here, and I'm gonna make y'all make a decision here. If you're first, you're on the spot. Who was your offensive MVP today?
Offensive MVP, it's got to be Quinn. You can't go with anybody other than Quinn. He looked great. He made all the throws. He was accurate. I know people were questioning his downfield accuracy. He looked great on every single throw. Already mentioned the pick, so no need to mention that again. But Quinn gave you everything you needed today.
Yeah, Quinn's the guy. Regardless of how much you think about Quinn or not, Quinn needs to have a lot of success for us to go all the way. That's just what it is. Like, he's at that spot, that most valuable position, and he looked great today. A couple decision making that he'll clean up. but Quinn's the guy. And I mean, everybody else, man, we got so much potential. I'm just telling you, throughout the year, it's gonna be all of them. Like we got. Think about that. Number 1, number 2, number 5, number 7, number 11. Zero didn't even get off today. He can go too. So I mean, I'm excited about it.
Who you got, Hills?
I'm not gonna just say QBs like these guys, right? No, that makes sense to me, right? But going into this matchup, I don't think any of us were terrified of Colorado State's defense.
Right.
So it was cool to see us do what I thought we would do. I'm going to give my MVP to the defensive backs.
No, so this is your offensive MVP.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
You're going to get the Colorado State's defensive backs?
I don't want to get off this love now. I don't want to get off this love now.
Okay, no, if it's the offense, then I'm going to give it to the whole QB room. I'm going to give it to the whole QB room. I'm going to tell you why. That group, completed 25 balls out of 33, 75%. You know what I mean? Like that's
big.
That's big. Yeah. That's big. I'll take that. 300 plus yards in the air between the two of them, and there was no fall off between 1 and 2. Arch came in there, and it was the Arch show, right? And he looked as advertised. And Quinn looked like the team leader, team captain that I anticipated him being. Can I talk about the defense now?
Well, in a second. I still get mine.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I don't want to take yours if it's going to be, but my honorable mention is going to be number 7.
Yeah,
me
too. So keep going.
He was close to,
The only reason I say that is because a birdie told me this, but I hear that he's not.
Wait, who's the birdie?
I can't drop my sources.
You can't reveal your sources.
That's
bad journalism.
But a birdie put something in my ear that, Isaiah Bond might not be the most dynamic practice player. That might be why you haven't heard many reports. Most of the reports are leaning towards Silas during practice or Golden during practice. You didn't really hear much about Bond during practice. We saw exactly what he can do this game. He's one of those guys that you might not see it during practice, but on game day he shows up, and we got a good understanding of what he can do on the field.
Yeah. If I got to give it to one person, I'm giving it to Quinn. But I would give my MVP to that receiver room too, because it was just nonstop.
Yeah.
Like every drive, it was like, hey, let's give it to. It was legit like we were playing NCAA football, the video game. Just like, all right, I got to get this guy's yards, get him. And I will say, there were a couple plays and a couple catches that Wingo made, and a couple runs after the catches where I was like, whew. We haven't seen a specimen like that in a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while, and you guys know who the last one was. I'm not going to say it out loud, though. But anyway, all right, let's move on to the defense, right? What are your quick thoughts on the defense? And I'm going to start with DJ on this one.
Oh, man, I think we played really tough. I think we ran to the ball.
Yeah,
we didn't have busts. Sometimes you play teams, and just because they're a lower opponent, you can mess up big and be like, all right, cool. It is what it is. We gave up 7 points or some kind of big play, but that didn't happen. We were really technically sound, and I just like the big hits. There were a lot of big hits in this game. Even though there wasn't a lot of sacks, there were a lot of big hits in this game. That tells you a lot of want to that these guys are playing with, especially in the front seven. But from the linebackers and DBs, everybody played well, man. Nobody stood out crazy, but as a team D, they did really well. Played really tough.
Yeah. Oak, what do you got?
DJ hit it all right on the head. I just want to add that cornerback room today looked outstanding. Yeah. Like if you had any concerns about our coverage this season,
Okafor just stole my answer. He's been copying off my homework for a long time.
That's how good they look today, though. That's a testament to how good they look today. Yeah. Gavin Holmes, Malik Muhammad, Jaydon Barron.
Yeah.
We got some corners on this team, and I think it just took time for them to get confident in their abilities. But we're starting to see what they look like when they're putting it all out there, not thinking, just reacting. Yeah. And these dudes can play, man. Now we got to get tested a little bit more, but I loved what I saw from that room.
Yeah, we already know your offensive MVP was the defensive
backs.
Yeah. But we can talk about your defensive MVP later. But obviously you thought that. I would say, and Derrick, I want to hear your thoughts too on the linebackers. Because I think I saw Hill was moving to the ball so well, and then Bender was ready.
He was humping.
Give me your thoughts on that, and then Hills, I want to hear your thoughts too.
Being able to have Johnny Nansen in that room now, just a different kind of mindset guy, just tough, old school guy. That's Sark's guy too as well. So he's been doing it at a high level before he got here, and to have him in that room as a co-defensive coordinator, just a lot of wisdom in that room. So our linebackers aren't making little mistakes. Like, that's a big deal. When you don't make those little mistakes, especially against a team that's not as good as you, for you to go out there and just smother them. 33, I just can't talk enough about just his journey, right? You know, we know about Ant Hill, right? He's hyped up, and he is who he say he is. But when you got older guys like Bender going out there helping and being right next to a young guy that's a superstar, and just raising his level of play just like the superstar. I think it's something to be said for. Blackwell came in. I like that we came in at the linebacker position. They actually substituted him in early. Like, it wasn't like, you know, they didn't get to play in the third. They got to play in the second quarter. So they kept coming in and out a little bit, keeping us a little fresh. So I loved it from them. They moved well. I mean, I love the big hits.
Oh, absolutely. And when I think about that group, I'm thinking about like defense as a unit, right? I always think of defense as like controlled chaos.
Yeah.
And when I look at a spread attack, the ball coming out quick, that can only happen successfully if you're getting in between those backers, right? In front of the safety, between the backer, in front of the corner.
That's
right?
that hole, yeah.
But when I'm looking at a defensive line that's being disciplined in their pass rush lanes, hands up when they can't get there. Linebackers that's making the throw difficult because they're where they're supposed to be, right? And now all of a sudden, this ball has to be perfect every time for it to have a chance. And he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
That was not available for them today. They had 74 yards passing.
That's crazy.
They had 13 completions on the day.
I was going to say, if there's anything that surprised me, how, like, the way the defense came out and made Colorado State's offense look surprised me, because Colorado State got a little bit of talent on that offensive side of the ball.
They were the 9th ranked passing attack last year.
Right. So if there was any surprises this game, it was how poorly we made them look offensively. I'll give it back to you.
Yeah, that ties into it, and I think it goes back to what you said. You got guys like Bender, who now I won't say nobody has. Everyone's earned where they're at, right? But Bender's scratched and clawed to get to where he's at. Yeah. Now he's next to a guy like Ant, right, who has next world ability.
Yep.
What happens when Ant starts working and playing this game and understanding it the way that Bender does?
That's culture. That's culture right there.
That's culture, right? And I think that what we're seeing is like a culture of expectation, a culture of trust. Because it's hard to play DB if you don't trust those other guys over there.
Man.
Like they are doing their job, and that's what we've seen for 4 straight quarters. I mean, there's no other way that the team shows up with 0 and leaves with 0, unless you are doing your job throughout the game. Yeah, and they're making plays when they're there.
It seems like they trust the guys next to them.
Exactly.
Right? Really good football teams hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
Like you got to do your job. Like, I expect that from you, and you got to give me that respect by giving me 110%. And on defense side of the ball, they were going sideline to sideline. I loved it.
Yeah, let's talk about. They've got a guy who's going to get his name called early next year in the NFL draft, and he was pretty silent. I think he ended up with 5 catches for 31 yards. I'm talking about Torrey Horton.
Yep.
That kid had 98 catches last year. He's got over 3,000 yards in his career, and I don't remember seeing a ton from him. And that's big time by our defensive backs. And I will say, I am so excited. I was very intrigued to see this combination of Kwiatkowski and Nansen together, and I love what I see. That first drive, man, just the way they moved to the ball, the way they were hitting, the way Ant was hitting. Michael Taft made some hit on the guy where I got quiet. Yeah, he was and so I'm blown away by it. The defense looks different this year. It really does. And we had a very talented defense last year, but we had some holes. And obviously we don't know a ton yet, but I'm excited about what I see, and I'm excited when our guys are moving to the ball fast and they're in the right places the majority of the time. And by the way, we allowed 0 points.
0.
Do you know how many games we've had where we played teams that we should beat by 30, 40, whatever, and we allow 2, 3 touchdowns, give up a couple at the end? We got interception with barely, like Wardell Mack picked that ball off. Kept the shutout. I love that.
That's how you know we're taking the next step, right? You see it all the time back in the day when Alabama had their run or whatnot, and they go against a team that's less talented than them, and they just kick the dog mess out of them, right? It's 60-0. It's like, how y'all didn't score 1, 3 points?
No. And the thing what you're talking to too is there, like it would be in the air.
Yeah.
I mean, you could feel it from the screen. I'm not over exaggerating. You was like, These boys, it's almost like somebody went in there and said, lock the gates.
Yeah.
Right? Like those other teams would come in there and they don't want to do this. They do not want to do this. Right?
And again, it starts from, we go back to the spring, it starts from the summer, all those workouts, all that stuff, man. What people don't see, that's the ball. And now they get to have fun.
Yeah.
So
and speak, you've seen that today. Yeah. Especially QB1 was dug in. I don't know why we keep skipping over it. I ain't even know my man knew how to. QB1 was dug in.
Well, did you see his pregame film?
I didn't.
He
was pregame film was crazy.
Clean, though.
Somebody, I want to see what the pregame
bad
fit
guy
look
in a
like.
lot of movies.
I want to see what the pregame
He
fit
had
look
a
like.
nice face.
Yeah.
Some Louis V's on.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh man.
It's a new man.
I'm telling
he
you.
got a little money.
I'm telling you. This is like.
He got a little money.
So he wasn't Urkel. He was Stephon.
He was Stephon.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
evolution.
That's what we need. That's what we need. That's what we need. We need Stephon going into the SEC, man.
All right, now let's move to my favorite part of the ball, the special teams. All right, so I'll go ahead and cover the Burt part, then you guys can cover the other parts.
Yeah.
My man Burt was 1 for 1 on field goals, 7 for 7 on extra points.
Right down the middle.
Automatic.
Down the middle.
He's cold as ice.
Yeah.
So I love that. I will say I was paying special attention to our returners because we have so much talent in the return game. It's stupid. Between Silas Bolden, Matthew Golden, you got DeAndre, you've got all these guys that can return. I mean, goodness, Jaydon Blue can return.
Cook can too.
Yeah, Jonte, like all these guys. And I loved the way on punts we were putting 2 back there on some of them. And you saw that return, the big return Silas had. They had Golden back there with them. And so I'm excited about the special teams too. I think the part I was most intrigued by is we haven't seen or heard much about the punter, and we still haven't.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
And I hope we never learn.
Yeah.
I hope we never learn Michael Kern's name because I don't want him playing.
He don't get to
Love
play
you,
a lot,
Michael.
huh?
I don't know you, but I don't want to see you play.
We just want him to get a participation.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't necessarily want him doing much.
100%. But overall, Hills, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the special teams. I mean, I think it's
No, they were solid.
Yep.
They were solid. And I think our punt return team, and we got 7 goals at it today, right? Yeah. And I love that too, because sometimes what you see in teams is just get us the ball back, right? That's not what we're doing. We believe in our punt return squad. And that showed today. Yeah. We're trying to find ways to make them have to defend our return. That lets you know that we have confidence in that phase of our game. A lot of times, especially when you trust your offense, you're telling that punt return team, just make sure we just get us the ball back. Y'all know that. Just get it. I didn't see that. I seen that same aggressive attitude that we played with on offense, that same aggression that we seen on defense. You're seeing it in the special teams as well. And I don't know about y'all's time at Texas, but with mine, we were really great when you had starters itching to be on. I'm trying to block one. I'm trying to return one. Like guys are itching to make plays in this phase of the game as well, and that's a full buy-in. So I'm interested to see how that phase of our game continues to develop.
And that's an omen to the depth of the team. Like whenever you have, there's only 22 starters, right? So if you ain't a starter, but you know you can play, you got to get in some. You got to eat some by other means, right? And I think that's what we're starting to see. Silas Bolden, he didn't get the targets that he wanted today. So what? He's got to go eat on special teams. And I think that's where we're at right now. We got so much depth that the backups got to get in where they fit in. And I think that's great for Texas.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Let's. I want to we're still recapping Texas's 52-0 win today over Colorado State.
Big win.
Season opening victory. Huge. But I want to get to some of the comments out there. Appreciate everybody jumping on and giving shout-outs, et cetera. I got to give a shout-out to my man CB, Chris Bennett, who's always all over it. He says, what's up, guys? He says, DJ was part of the last season opening shutout in 2004 until the day. It was a 65-0 beatdown of North Texas.
Wow, did not know that.
Even DJ learned that fact today. And then thanks to Joe Smith here. Okay, why did nobody tell me Ryan Wingo's out here looking like?
Like LeBron?
He said it was a number 4 at Texas. And, I don't want to put that on Ryan. I don't want to put. That's why I'm not saying it still. I don't want to put it on him. And let's see, Dadgum Batman had, where is Jay Hills going to post his POV content? Your Ray-Ban. So for those that don't know, Jay Hills has these Ray-Bans that can go live here.
You got the cameras in.
We call it the Connor Stallions model. So,
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I got some POV coming for everybody, man. We can show you guys what my experience was like at the stadium today, watching a 52-0 stomping.
Yeah. And let's we got David EY. I hope I didn't mispronounce that.
David E.
David E. For the first time in a while, I felt relaxed watching the defense on the field. Coverage and the hits look good, look great. Benda and Tav had some great tackles. I agree with that. I think that's a great comment.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what we saw. Being able to be secure and have peace when you watch our defense and not be like, don't mess up, but don't It's like, nah, we good. Here we go. Where's the big hit? Boom. And the guys just play solid today. Really solid.
Is it safe to say that Benda is our heart on defense?
It's one of them. I mean, you got Barron Sorrell, you got Jaydon, you got Ant Hill. Not the best stat day today. I'm just telling you, these guys are dudes, man.
Not from a talent perspective. There's talent all over that board. There's 5-star recruits that have been developed the right way.
You know what?
I'm just saying, when it gets tough. And I'm looking for a word from somebody. I'm looking for somebody to get on me when I need them to get on me. Give me love when I need them to give me love. Like, is that who he is?
Yeah, that's
right. And we didn't cover it. So, DJ, who's your defensive MVP for today?
Defensive MVP would have to be Jaydon.
Yeah, nice.
It would be Jaydon. I want to say Benda, but I'm a linebacker. I'm hard on him, so there's a couple plays that I got to talk to him about. but Jaydon would, man, just because. When you can play like the Honey Badger, right? You can play in safety, you can play at corner, you can play inside, man. That's hard to do, and then have success at it. Jaydon's the guy.
Yeah. Oh, who you got?
I second that. You know where I'm coming with that one. Jaydon, he was the defensive MVP. If not Jaydon, it was the whole cornerback room, that whole room right there. But Jaydon, he had an outstanding day. He sets the tone for this defense. He'll continue to do that along with 33.
Yep.
Hills?
I'm going to give you some numbers. The number 1 and the number 3. Put them together how you like, right? 1-3, 13 completions, 3.1 yards per attempt. My MVP is the defensive back room.
Yeah.
Domination.
That is domination.
Offensive and defensive MVP.
Defensive back. Hey, special teams MVP. Like, listen. No. Sorry, Bert. I'm because the question mark has been them. The last time they touched the field, if I'm calling a spade, they got scorched. And the next time they touched the field, they dominated the game. They dominated the game against a future first rounder and all his buddies. They dominated the game. And so I'm saying, okay, put the world on notice then. I'm telling that room right there, put the world on notice. Make them respect you. Yeah. And that's what they did today. Okay. They earned some respect.
We're gonna do a couple more comments, and we're gonna wrap it up and talk about a little game up north we got next week.
Here we go.
Thanks to Jacoby Kirkhart. How about how that defensive line that people were saying was gonna drop off completely? They didn't drop off completely.
No, they didn't. They felt their way through it a little bit in the beginning, but then as guys settled in, we seen what we thought we would see.
And I like how Bill Norton looks in the middle there, man.
That's a big old boy.
That's a body right there.
I love that he wears 15 too, because I'm like, who is?
It's all stretched out.
I was standing next to.
15's not supposed to look like that.
I was standing next to T Sweat, right, and we watching the game together. And that's the only thing he want to talk about. Like, he talking about it even when the offense on the field. But defensive line play. Yep. That's all. But he liked it too. He said, "No, they look good."
Imagine T Sweat wearing 15.
That would be something he'd do too. Yeah.
And let's see. I can't even attempt to say the last name. Apologies. Shouty. Iron sharpening iron, y'all.
Absolutely.
It's true.
Absolutely.
Well, let's get to next game before we wrap up. Obviously, we've got a big one. I think we knew Sark was going to hold back a little bit today. Yeah. But the crazy part is, I think his arsenal and his bag is so deep that I don't even think he scratched the surface. But the stuff he was throwing out there today was crazy. I mean, that ball was everywhere. He spread it out. Like, if you're Michigan going into this week, you're like, who's the guy?
No, I love that too, because
how do you stop it?
We would be fools to believe that Sark didn't tell. Like, at one point in this game, he started saying, "All right, Let's put some stuff on film for them to have to go study.
Absolutely.
Let's put some stuff on film for them
Put
to
a
have
lot
to
of
go.
stuff.
Let's make them cover this way, that way, this way, that way. Like, let's make them understand that you got to cover this whole field. Let's make it tough on them this week in that film room, right? And I think he did just that. We don't have to show you much to show you what's coming. And I think that message got across.
Well, they don't even have Silas Bolden on tape. You know what I mean? Like, that's the crazy part. Is
And I can just see Michigan right now. If they're going to have any success against this prolific offense, this high-powered offense, they got to get to Quinn. How are they going to get to Quinn?
That's
You
fair.
got,
That's a good
you know,
point. That's a real
you know,
good
you
point.
can. You know, you can rush for and try to get there and try to beat your one-on-ones, or you can just, you know, send the house. But I mean, man, Sark's got something for sure. It's gonna be. I can't wait for it.
Oh,
man.
it's gonna be fun.
I love when you get tested or you go against equal talent. It's gonna bring out the best. And there's gonna be some guys that we really hadn't talked about today.
That we'll talk about next week.
Next week, you'll say, "Oh, wow, look at this guy." Yeah.
What's going to be key to that game is going to be number 7. I feel like I've been talking about Donovan Edwards for a long time now, but that kid is special.
Yep.
I've said it when he was the backup running back. I remember he was playing with the club, and he was behind what's the kid's name that just went last year?
Quinn.
Yeah, and now it's his show.
Yeah.
And that kid is special.
Yeah.
So stopping 7 is the key to victory for that game. And
they will run. They're gonna run it.
Oh, they're gonna run.
I'm excited about that because with us going to the SEC, I know offenses have changed over time, but the stigma a while ago at the SEC was big offensive lines and powerful running games, right? I'm glad we get to test that out week 2. We're going to find out exactly who we are up front week 2.
Week 2.
In a hostile.
In a hostile.
On the road.
Big house.
Yep.
Like
biggest.
nobody will be able to hide up front, and we'll be able to see everything, and I'm excited about that.
Great
I'll tell you what
opportunity,
though, if what I seen today was any indicator of who we are, I like us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love us. I think we got to clean up a little bit inside. Like I said earlier, it was a little leaky, but I know the PK is going to be all over him.
Yep.
Now, honestly, I feel bad about this practice coming up because they dominated 50-2, but I can already see PK making it a miserable week of practice. Though. So
You got to.
That's
got
football.
to, right?
That's
Football's
football.
so
You got
so
to.
how do you win 52-0, but you have the hardest practice of the week right now?
I guarantee you at one point a coach got up there and said, "We're going to enjoy this one today, man.
Yep.
And then tomorrow we're going to get back to
hearing
it."
that. I hate hearing that,
Hey,
man.
They
I
ain't gonna
hope
talk
them
about it
boys-
no more the whole week. It's done.
I hope they get a chance to responsibly enjoy tonight. Enjoy it. I hope they watching those guys down the street. I hope they getting stomped by Notre Dame right now. I hope.
we did have a comment about that. It said, let's go Notre Dame.
Yeah, exactly. So, enjoy it because it's so hard to win that you should enjoy it.
Yeah.
But
That's true.
understand that you didn't work your butt off all of these months to go beat Colorado State. That was not what you worked for. So I hope they lock back in and let's go up there and handle business. That's true.
Yeah, I think the part I'm very excited about in this game is like that we know it's going to be physical. We know what they're going to see. I want to see us. I don't want to see us get behind the sticks. I hope we only had 3 penalties, but we did have a couple false starts, a couple things that got us like on that first drive, got us behind it, and we didn't need that. And I think that's going to be important, especially in a hostile environment. Keeping it together, and also, are we physical enough? They got 2 spectacular defensive linemen. This team can play, and so if we can't run the ball, I actually feel better watching this game because of the way that Sark can move it around, and we don't have to sit there and pound it as much as we thought we would because we've got so many guys that can move it around the field. But we need to be able to run the ball, so we'll see. I'm excited.
You know how I feel about that. We always got to be able to run the ball.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, Quinn's going to get teed off on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate y'all. This was fun. We enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be back this week with our more polished game recap.
Yeah.
There will be some similar things, but we'll also have a preview for next week. And if you like what you're seeing, please hit that like, subscribe button wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. Please follow us. We appreciate it. We're on all the social media too at 3rd and Longhorn. Thanks so much, and hook 'em.
Yep.